Welcome to WrestleWolf. This is AEW Weekly. I'm Dr. Damian Gibson. And not joining me this week is the man who only deals in kayfabe, Matthew Kayfabe. He's having a little week off from the Dynamite. So you've just got me. So we're going to try and we're doing an actual video presentation here. I made a video 6 months ago, I think, when we started this, saying there will be video content. And it's just sort of been, I think it's really just been the two of us being too nervous to really put our face on your TV / phone / tablet / wherever you're watching this. So here we go. Is my fragile ego ready for the YouTube comments? Probably not, but we'll do it anyway. Let's get into this week's Dynamite. Hangman Page and Matt Hardy get the win over TH2 with a twist of fate. Big Money Matt crows over how much money Hangman is going to make, and therefore so is Big Money Matt, because he thinks that he is Hangman's manager. Just quickly, we need to make an apology. Matt and I both missed Hangman Page swapping out the contracts last week. So if there was a period of time where we were talking about like, oh no, Hangman's part of Matt Hardy's stable, and you were like, no, he isn't, you morons. You were right. We were wrong. It's amazing that both of us missed it. And yeah, shout out to much more professional YouTube channels in Cultaholic and What Culture that pointed out that they, that something had actually happened on film. And yeah, we apologize again. Hangman says that just like us, Matt should have read the contract. Matt says that he hasn't. He sent it to his lawyer. All of a sudden, the Jacksonville Jag comes out to present the contract to Matt Hardy. Matt reads the contract and finds out that it's a match at Revolution, and that all of Matt's earnings for the first quarter of 2021 are on the line. It's a money match, and this was said as if this was an old school trope that I should know about. It's not something that I know about. I'm not sure if Matt would have, but the Jag starts beating up Hangman. He takes his head off, and it's Isaiah Cassidy from Private Party. Big Money Matt says that he'll give TH2 $3,700 to beat up Hangman. Then the Dark Order come in for the save. This is usually the part where I ask Matt what he thinks. Obviously, he is not here. I'll try and be not so adversarial towards the Dark Order. I thought this was fine. I understand that Hangman Page can't be in the top of the bracket at the moment as far as the card is concerned. It doesn't make it any more disappointing for me when he's in the mid card doing this kind of stuff. I know there could be an argument to be made that, like, hey, he's working with a legend and Hall of Famer, and he's also working with the hottest faction in wrestling, or one of in the Dark Order. But it feels very much like a mid card story, and I think Hangman Page is probably a little bit better than that. But people seem to be enjoying it, so that's great. So unconvincing. We cut to the backstage area where Alex Marvez, who is my new favorite person in wrestling, is interviewing the Inner Circle. Santana and Ortiz point out that their title shot tonight is the first shot they've had as a tag team in the 18 months that they've been with AEW. MJF, of course, then interrupts, calls out Sammy. Jericho, who seems very upset, tells MJF to shut up and says that he's angry. He's angry. He's angry with MJF, but Sammy is dead to him. And then he storms off, saying to the Inner Circle, "Let's go win some titles." There's a theory. Simon Miller's put a theory out there that MJF and Sammy are in cahoots, and that they're going to take over the Inner Circle. I really like his theory, but I don't think that's going to happen. Each week, I think more and more MJF's going to stab Jericho in the back, and Jericho will be pushed out of the Inner Circle at a time that's probably convenient for him. Once he, not to get too much into it, but Jericho's shown that he doesn't really care that much about the virus and stuff. So I think he's the kind of person that, like, as soon as things start opening up, he'll be on tour with Fozzy. He'll be going to Japan. He'll be doing whatever. So I can see it being convenient for him to leave the inner circle. MJF takes over. Sammy Guevara's a white meat babyface. Everyone wins. Next up, Riho gets the win over Serena Deeb. This was a fantastic match, genuinely a fantastic wrestling match. I really hope we get to see Riho and Thunder Rosa on Dynamite and not on YouTube. Well, actually on Bleacher Report's website. Tony Khan dropped a tweet this morning saying that's where we can find it. And there was a lot of backlash towards Tony's tweet. So maybe they'll change that. Tony's argument was that, even more people can see it because you don't have to pay for it. In the States, people get Dynamite for free if they've got cable. But outside of America, you have to pay to get Dynamite. So Tony's argument was, you can watch it for free on the internet. But people really want to see it on Dynamite. So I can see both sides. I personally think for the brand and for the women's division, it's great to have it on Dynamite, because when that match happens, I mean, Riho and Thunder Rosa may be they may be the best two female wrestlers going around. Arguably, they'd both be in the conversation. And they've copped a lot of flack about their women's division, so it would be good to see them on Dynamite, so the women's division is raised up. I mean, if I'm being blunt, I think this is a headlining match, and I'm kind of surprised it's been, it feels like, and if Twitter's any gauge, it feels like to a lot of people this match has been, or this whole tournament, this women's tournament for the number one contender for the AEW belt, has been relegated again. It was it's getting harder and harder to defend AEW's booking of their women's division. You could probably excuse it previously when there were only, maybe 4 or 5, 6 girls who you could put on TV continuously who had AEW contracts. But when they put so much effort into this tournament and getting high caliber wrestlers involved in it, and then to just shove it off onto the web, it just, if nothing else, like kayfabe wise, storyline wise, it feels unimportant because it's not on the main show. If it's not on the main show, then it's not important. You take a match like this, you put it as the main event, it makes it important. So a little disappointing. Good to see Riho get the win. Serena Deeb supposedly has a legitimate knee injury and a kayfabe knee injury, so we might not see the NWA women's champion for a little bit, which is a shame because she's doing some great work. Next up, Orange Cassidy gets a win over Luther with the Orange Punch. We cut to the ring. Team Taz straight out. Taz says that all week, all he's heard is that Sting's going to call him out. And Taz says, well, here we are. Where's Sting? Sting appears. Taz says you can't do anything without that bat. Sting's obviously got his baseball bat with him. Sting throws his bat to the ground, takes his jacket off, and he's ready to go. He punches Brian Cage in the face. Team Taz gets overpower him. It's a 3-on-1 situation. Brian Cage power bombs Sting to hell through this was a huge power bomb, supposedly the first bump, in-ring bump that Sting has taken in 6 years. I've really liked this. I thought Brian Cage, I thought that this put Brian Cage over, and more than anything he's done in AEW besides maybe the surprise attack on Jon Moxley in the car park. But I really like this. I thought it built up Team Taz. We've had a period of a month where the baby, the surprise, like they were feeding off Sting showing up, which is fine. That's a huge signing. So milk that for all it's worth. And now we're getting into the nitty gritty of the story of like these guys, Team Taz. They are arseholes. Last week they kidnapped Darby Allen in a body bag and dragged him around a car park and stuff, which is even for even outside of wrestling, that's pretty brutal. You see that on The Wire or something, you'd be like, Jesus. Um, so I was really happy with this promo. I was all in. I feel like most people are like, oh God, I just want this feud and match to be really good, so it doesn't affect my uh, feelings towards Sting. I don't think it will. And I was happy that it's just a little thing, but I was happy that Team Taz, that Taz was the only one speaking for Team Taz. I know Ricky Starks is in there, and they want to give him experience in cutting promos, but it makes, I've spoken about it before. It makes no sense to have both of them sort of doing the same promo one after each other. Next up, Eddie Kingston explains why he has set up the three-way or three-man tag match with himself and Butcher and the Blade versus Lance Archer, John Moxley, and Ray Phoenix later in the show. We get the kindergarten. We cut to a kindergarten where Kenny Omega reads a story from the Young Bucks book to the kids. I was going to ask Matt if we're seeing a slight face, like if there's still slight face tendencies here from Kenny Omega, which I really don't want to see. Like, I want him to be a pure arsehole. Even to the Bucks and the Good Brothers and stuff. Like, I just, that's who his character is at the moment. It just felt like in this episode there were a couple of times where he was like, oh no, I'm still a good guy. You can't have, it's way too early to turn him face, and if he's playing this much of a heel, you can't have him being wishy-washy. I know people would be like, oh well, there's elements of great, but fuck that, it's wrestling. The Young Bucks retain the AEW Tag Team titles with an inside cradle. This was a pretty good match. I think we're gearing up for Young Bucks versus Jericho and MGF at title match at Revolution, which is cool. Matt and I in the past have spoken a lot about the booking of Santana and Ortiz and how it probably hasn't been. It's probably not what Matt and I would have done with Santana and Ortiz. And I'm just hoping that, they've been top of the card. They're in the inner circle. They've been handpicked by Jericho. So it's not like they're not TH2, they're not sort of just languishing in the sort of mid card, getting beaten by Dark Order people and stuff. That they are getting, they are at the, they are up there a bit, but I just sort of, when Trent comes back, I'd like to see the Best Friends and Santana Ortiz have a feud again, and for them to win the belt. I think they deserve it. I think they're a great tag team. They cut good promos. But anyway, speaking of great tag teams, FTR gets the win over the Seidel Brothers. FTR after the match are about to cut Mike Seidel's hair. The arena goes dark. Jurassic Express are in the ring. They chase off FTR and stand tall. I'm genuinely confused as to who's going to win this feud now. I think I was like, the whole time I've been like, oh, well, this is, FTR are going to get put over here. And I think actually it might be Jurassic Express who get put over, because FTR are big names. They can lose and it doesn't hurt them as much. Although I think, again, we need to get them in the title picture and get the belts on them and off the Bucks. I'm not saying tomorrow, but 3 months time or something like that. I don't know. It just feels more legitimate on FTR. I think I enjoy FTR more than I enjoy the Young Bucks, even though I did award the Young Bucks Tag Team of the Year last year. It was kind of hard not to. But me personally, I'd be preferring FTR. But I think Jurassic Express are going to get put over in this feud, which I'm cool with. I think Jungle Boy and Luchasaurus are a really cool tag team. I think both of them have the ability to become single stars. So I saw Luchasaurus without a mask during the week for the first time, and man, is he a good-looking dude. So, if he was in WWE, oh, man, that mask would be coming off so quickly. He'd be on the front of every cereal box in the nation. Next up, Jon Moxley gets the win with a paradigm shift. He was in a tag team with Rey Fenix and Lance Archer over Eddie Kingston, Butcher, and the Blade. After the match, the Good Brothers come to the ring and beat down Mox. Kenny arrives at the ring with a contract from their last match saying that he knows that there is a rematch clause and he will grant him the match at Revolution, but he will pick the stipulation and it will be an exploding barbed wire death match. Mox headbutts Kenny Omega, which I assume means yes, while being restrained by the Good Brothers. Kenny gets mad and it's V Trigger City. We zoom in on Kenny standing tall, and that is the end of the show, my children. Does Jon Moxley win the AEW title back at Revolution? Especially saying this is a death match. That was my question to Matt. I don't think so. I think this will be a way for Kenny to kill Jon, and Jon will go off and do some stuff in Japan for a bit. He's also going to be a daddy soon, so I assume he'll be taking some time off, some paternal leave. And I think it would be kind of regressive to have Mox win the title again, even though he's your biggest star for outsiders. From the way that you're going to get people to watch the show is to have a good wrestling show. And the best storyline is for Kenny Omega to beat Jon Moxley again, and carry on being this just vicious dickhead of a heel, and for Hangman Page to come after him in, well, I'm hoping in 2 weeks' time, but 6 months, 12 months, however long you want to do it. It's a strange stipulation for Kenny Omega, though, right? Like this is Jon Moxley's match, like a exploding barbed wire match. I mean, this is a death match. That's Jon Moxley's thing. That's where he came from. So, yeah, pretty exciting. I love hardcore wrestling, and I haven't watched a lot of deathmatch wrestling, so I don't want to say that I'm into it and then get attacked from all sides from actual proper deathmatch fans. But I'm interested to see what they do with this. I genuinely think that this is a way to get eyeballs back on wrestling, is to be doing this kind of wrestling. I mean, you think about like what made people excited about wrestling in the late 90s. It was the advent of ECW and hardcore wrestling that preceded the Attitude Era and NWO, or NWO and then Attitude Era. I mean, it's around the same time. You guys know what I mean. We haven't seen that kind of stuff for a long time, and I think doing it gives AEW a way to differentiate itself from WWE. I mean, they do that a lot already with sort of more independent style wrestling compared to the very WWE American style that they do. But yeah, I mean, I love Jon Moxley, but I think I agree with Matt. I don't know if I like him as a champion. I don't know if it sits, I mean, it's good for him to win it, but I think he's one of those guys where you want to kind of try and take the title off him. Not immediately, but you don't want to give him more than 6 months, because like ultimately you want the baby faces to be chasing the title, because then when they do win it, it's so sweet, Anyway, that's enough wrestling lessons for today, children. I'm going to leave it there because obviously this is a new format, and I've got a fair amount of stuff that I need to do with it, so I'm just going to keep it short. But thank you for tuning in or listening via the podcast. If you're watching this, click the little subscribe button. It'll be down here somewhere. The bell, notifications bell. Hit that bell, babe. We're going to try and get more video content out. For our loyal podcast listeners, just keep rating, reviewing it, telling your friends. We're incrementally getting more listeners every month, and that's because of you guys. That literally has, I mean, obviously we make the podcast, but we don't have the money to be splashing around huge ads and long running ads and all that kind of thing. So the listeners we do get is almost always because of you guys, and Matt and I are so appreciative of that. So anyway, until next time, brother friends, Pepe is dead.